Prince Siegfried came to the manor in secret, far from home and stripped of power. But someone is watching him. Someone who shouldn't know he's there. Ariel stumbles upon a mysterious man, a stranger with red eyes, and a hidden portrait of the prince. Why is Siegfried being followed? And how far will this man go to reach him? In the shadows of the night, danger closes in, and the prince may not be as safe as he thinks. It was a scorching midsummer night. The streets were quiet, the air thick with heat. On her way home from another routine night out, she walked calmly, wiping sweat from her brow. "I get that it's summer," she muttered to herself. "But why is it so hot?" Suddenly, a teenage boy in a hood bumped hard into her. The impact sent a jolt through her shoulder, making it go numb. "Hey!" she shouted, clutching her shoulder. "Who do you think you are? Watch where you're going." She blinked, looking him over. "He's pretty slim. So why did that hurt so much?" The boy, hiding most of his face with one hand, replied coldly, "Quit making such a fuss and get out of my way." "A fuss?" she snapped, furious. "He bumps into me and has the nerve to say I'm making a fuss?" I said. The boy repeated, emotionless, "Get out of my way." Blocking his path with both arms spread, she stood her ground. "Get out of my way? Say it with me. I'm so sorry," she demanded, voice rising with determination. "Please forgive me for bumping into you," she added, practically yelling. The boy stared at her, stunned. "What?" Suddenly a voice rang out from behind them. "There he is," another man shouted. "Grab him!" Unaware of the danger approaching, she continued her rant, arms still open wide. "I'm telling you, you're incredibly rude," the men closed in fast. Her eyes widened as she finally noticed the group surrounding them. "That's why I told you to get out of the way," the boy said sharply, clearly annoyed. "You were being chased?" she asked, shocked. "Isn't it obvious?" he replied, eyes still hidden. She blinked in disbelief, then smiled playfully. "Well, you could have said something. I would have let you go." "It's fine," he muttered. "Just get away from here." "And what about you?" she asked, a flicker of concern in her voice. He ignored her, turning away. She hesitated, torn. "He wants me to stay out of it, but this feels serious." Suddenly one of the men grabbed her by the hair and shoved her back. "A girl?" he said with a smirk. "She's a pretty one, just my type. Forget the boy, let's take the girl." The hooded boy reached for his sword, ready to defend her, but before he could move, she punched the man square in the face with stunning precision and force. Everyone froze. "Boss!" one of the men cried, horrified. The leader, reeling, groaned. "What are you doing? Get him!" "How dare she hit our boss?" another shouted, rushing forward. The boy raised his sword, facing the group. "Run if you can, and if you find help, send them this way." "She'll pay for this," one of the men growled. "And if I don't?" she replied casually, unbothered. "Do you think this is a joke?" the boy snapped, clearly angry. "No," she thought. "That's not it. How can I just run away and leave him here alone?" She glanced at her hand. Blood. He's injured. And he looks exhausted. Should I take care of them myself? Her eyes narrowed in determination. "I think I can handle this," she whispered, and began to fight. One by one, she took them down. Powerful, precise, and unexpectedly skilled. After a few intense minutes, the ground was littered with defeated men. The boy stared at her, astonished. "Hey, you." She turned, smiling sweetly. "Me?" "Yes," he said seriously, looking into her eyes. "Who are you?" Before she could answer, she crossed her arms. "Before that, shouldn't you at least thank me? Or apologize?" She sighed. "I should have known when you didn't even say sorry after bumping into me." He lowered his gaze. She narrowed her eyes. Is he ignoring me again? Seriously? She stepped closer. You know what? How are you going to repay me for fighting off those thugs? She asked, and suddenly grabbed him by the collar. What do you think you're doing? He asked, startled. What do you think? She snapped. I'm making sure you don't run off again. He looked up at her, finally revealing his face, and striking violet eyes. Your shoulder must be feeling better, he said dryly. You won't stop yapping. She froze, captivated. Her eyes locked onto his. Those eyes, they were mesmerizing. Get out of my way, he muttered, brushing past her. And stop staring at my face. She blinked, stepping back as if waking from a trance. Thank you, he said suddenly, for helping me. All right, she replied, tone casual, but her thoughts raced. I was mesmerized. Just for a second. My heart. Why is it pounding so fast? Then the boy asked, Do you know where Elifrit's manor is? Elifrit's? She repeated, surprised. Of course I do. That's where I live. As they arrived at the mansion gates, the first thing Ariel noticed was a guard slumped over, sleeping without a care in the world. What in the world is going on? She thought, frowning. I can't believe he's actually our guest. Wake up! She shouted, her voice cutting through the silence. The guard jolted upright, startled. Lady Ariel, what are you doing out at this hour again? She sighed, clearly exhausted. Yes, just open the gate. He hesitated, concern growing in his voice. You can't keep doing this, my lady. What am I supposed to tell his lordship? Then he noticed the figure standing behind her. His eyes widened. By the way, who is that behind you? The boy's posture was weak, his face pale. A heavy aura clung to him like fog. He looked both exhausted and ill. The guard bowed quickly. Please forgive me. For what? Ariel asked, confused. Is it because he looks like he's not feeling well? Turning to the boy, she spoke gently. Just hold on a little longer. We'll get you treated as soon as we're inside. But behind her, the guard was frozen in place, eyes wide in disbelief. Does she not know who he is? He wondered. Why is she speaking to him like he's a commoner? As she opened the front doors of the mansion, she glanced at the boy. What happened to you before you bumped into me? You seem to be getting worse. Before she could finish, a voice interrupted. Ariel! Her brother burst through the hallway, face red with frustration. You're late again. Caught off guard, she didn't reply. The boy beside her simply observed, silent. But Avishan's eyes widened as he recognized the guest. Prince Siegfried? He asked in disbelief. Ariel blinked. Siegfried. Her brother turned toward the prince. Why are you with my little sister? I was ambushed, the prince said plainly, his tone low and serious. I'll explain everything later. Ariel stared at him, stunned. This is the Prince Siegfried, the imperial prince, known for his unmatched beauty and tragic upbringing. The one who will someday kill the current crown prince and ascend the throne. And Her thoughts were abruptly cut off. Count Elifritz, the prince said, turning to her brother. I'd like to get some rest. Of course, your highness, Avishan replied. Allow me to escort you to your room. As they walked away, Ariel's thoughts spiraled. I'm supposed to be engaged to the current crown prince, the one Siegfried will kill. The prince glanced back at her. Her brother turned and spoke gently. Ariel, you should go to bed. She forced a smile and waved. Sure thing, Avishan. But as soon as she reached her room, her smile faded. She slammed her hand against the wall. How am I supposed to sleep tonight? Behind her, her maid rushed in. My lady, she repeated softly, puzzled by Ariel's silence. Still leaning against the wall, Ariel stared ahead, trying to process everything. I can't believe I ran into the male lead. Right near my house, and I brought him home. Her maid's voice continued, worried. It's very late, my lady. I don't know what's going on, but please get up. Let's go. With some effort, Ariel stood, still lost in thought. There we go, the maid said gently. Let's head upstairs. What am I going to do? Ariel whispered. About what? The maid asked, still unaware of what had happened. Later, in her room, Ariel lay wide awake. Her eyes refused to close. I can't sleep. I'm too anxious, too worried. No matter how hard I try, I can't remember what happened in the original story. Then again, I can't even remember what I read last week. How am I supposed to remember a novel I read in a past life? It wasn't even my kind of story. Was it war? Revenge? Romance? Still, there are some parts I remember clearly. Like Siegfried's story. Is it because of his good looks? She thought, startled by her own reaction. The first emperor was known as a man blessed by the gods, wielding powers that defied reason. These divine abilities were passed down through his bloodline. But over the centuries, as the imperial lineage weakened, so too did those powers, fading into legend. Then, a child was born with unmistakable purple eyes, a trait said to belong only to the direct descendants of the first emperor. That child was Siegfried, the male lead of this story. Even though Asa was born first, being the son of a concubine placed him beneath Siegfried in the line of succession. Siegfried, after all, was the legitimate heir, born of the empress herself. And unlike Asa, Siegfried possessed the imperial powers that had long since vanished from the royal line. As a result, the nobility split. On one side were those who accused Siegfried of trying to overthrow the crown prince with powers that couldn't be proven. On the other were nobles who claimed the imperial throne rightfully belonged to Siegfried all along. But everything changed the day the empress died, suddenly and at a young age. A fire had broken out in her palace, under suspicious circumstances. The nobles who supported her demanded an investigation, but the emperor remained silent. Instead, he acted swiftly, elevating Isa's mother to the position of empress as if he had been waiting for this very moment. Siegfried was only 10 years old. Since then, his maternal family, House Blanche, had remained quiet, biding their time in the shadows. With no one left to speak the truth, it seemed inevitable that Siegfried would one day lay claim to the throne. And when he does return to the imperial palace, it will begin a chain of events that ends in bloodshed. Lying. In bed, Ariel stared up at the ceiling, lost in thought. According to the original story, I'm supposed to be engaged to the crown prince, she recalled, with growing dread. I don't want to get caught up in a political war, and I definitely don't want to be engaged like Ariel was in the original version. I don't even remember what happened to me. And I certainly don't want to be dragged into all this drama. Then, a sudden thought struck her. Wait. Didn't he glare at me earlier? She sat up in alarm. Did I make a bad first impression? Did I accidentally raise a death flag? But I saved him. I even brought him into my home. For the entire week that followed, her mind ran in anxious circles. Now, sitting on her bed with a book in her lap, she sighed in frustration. All week. Not a single sign of Siegfried. The only person allowed into his room had been the doctor. Why did he even come here, if he wasn't going to leave his room? She grumbled, slamming the book shut. Just then, a knock echoed from the door. Yes, come in, she called, curious about who it might be. The door flew open. My lady, her maid announced, stepping in with an armful of cleaning supplies. Ariel's eyes lit up, eager for news. "Yes? What is it?" But the maid simply looked around at the mess, lifted her tools, and said with a cheerful smile, "Please leave so I can clean your room." Ariel blinked. "Wait, I was just about to relax and read. I have a lot on my mind today." "You'll have to find another place," the maid said firmly, not even blinking. "And don't even think about coming back until dinner, my lady." With that, she shut the door right in Ariel's face. "Okay," Ariel muttered, hugging her book, as she stood in the hallway. In the manor's garden, Lady Ariel wandered aimlessly, her thoughts drifting. "How am I supposed to find a place to relax now?" she wondered, glancing around. "What place could possibly be as comfortable as my bed?" She paused mid-step as a thought struck her. That's right. There's an empty field behind the manor. Her eyes shifted in that direction. If I bring a blanket, I could lie down and read there. It's quiet. No one ever comes by. Confident in her plan, she turned toward the field. But just as she took her first step, a sudden clang echoed through the stillness. She jumped. Then, from a distance, a voice shouted, sharp with rage, "Curses! Damn you, Isa!" Startled, Ariel moved cautiously toward the sound. Her eyes widened. It's Siegfried. He stood there alone, bruises covering both arms, gripping one wrist tightly in pain. Is he hurt? She thought, worried. Did I just hear him curse the crown prince? Carefully, she tiptoed closer, hesitant. Talk about bad timing. Let's not get on his nerves, she reminded herself, remembering their awkward first meeting. Suddenly, Siegfried turned. He'd heard something. His sharp gaze locked onto Ariel, who froze mid-step. She took a slow step back, caught red-handed. She smiled nervously. Hello, Your Highness. His face remained unreadable. Cold. Silent. What did I do to deserve that kind of glare? She panicked inwardly. Trying to diffuse the tension, she said with an awkward smile, You look like you're hurt. Are you all right? It's nothing. Don't worry about it, he replied curtly, though his clenched arm told another story. How could I not worry? She thought. He's clearly in pain. She hesitated, then offered him a small handkerchief. Then at least take this, I said. Don't worry about it. He interrupted coldly. Why is he being so mean to someone who's just trying to help? How rude! As Siegfried reached for a wooden sword lying on the ground, Ariel watched in disbelief. How's he planning to practice with injured wrists? Then, another thought crossed her mind. But the story says he becomes a brilliant swordsman and a war hero. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I guess I'll just watch. She sat on a nearby rock, curious. Siegfried raised the sword and began to swing it, but the moment he moved, Ariel's eyes widened. What? Is this? Something felt off. Very off. He's clumsy, stiff. I thought he was unbeatable, a genius with a sword, but what she saw was anything but graceful. Without realizing, she muttered, He's pretty terrible with a sword. The moment the words left her lips, he froze. What? Siegfried turned, clearly embarrassed. Ariel jolted. Sorry? What? Did you just say? He asked again. I'm so sorry, she stammered, panicking. Oh no, did I say that out loud? Desperate to fix her mistake, she bowed quickly. It was a slip of the tongue. Please forgive me. He must have incredible hearing. But to her surprise, he said, It's fine. She blinked in disbelief. You don't have to apologize. Again, she stared. Your Highness, she said cautiously, I heard you were hurt, and it looks like your wrists are in bad shape. Would you like me to call a doctor? Why do you keep meddling in other people's business? Before she could reply, she took a breath and asked, Then may I ask something first, Your Highness? She clenched the book in her hands. I know the Siegfried from the story was cold, but there's something strange here. Did I do something wrong, Your Highness? She asked. They had only met twice, but he seemed unnaturally wary of her, almost hostile. It's not like he knows we're meant to be engaged. Could the story itself be affecting him somehow? No, he said simply. Then what is it? She asked again, confused. I just don't like you. That's all. His words hit like a stone. There has to be a reason you don't like me, she insisted. He looked away. It's simple. Every time I see you in the manor, I get annoyed. Like how? She asked, bewildered. You really want me to explain? He snapped. The night I arrived, it was too dark to see your face. But the moment I saw you under the light, I felt nauseous. Sick. I've never felt anything like it. So it was just his condition at the time, she thought, stunned. What's wrong with your face? He asked bluntly. He must have been in awful shape when we first met, she realized. Is that seriously the reason he's been so cold? Is this guy really supposed to be the male lead? Then, do you still feel that way? Seeing me now? She asked gently. He blinked, caught off guard. Not really. I don't feel that way now. Then he's not reacting because of the original story. That's a relief. She smiled faintly. I've been worrying for an entire week, for nothing. Sorry, Siegfried said suddenly. Huh? Ariel blinked. Excuse me? I bumped into you that night. Oh, well, now I understand. You had a good reason. Did Siegfried just apologize? She thought in disbelief. You weren't exactly in good shape back then. If you don't mind, may I ask what happened? Isa, my brother, tried to poison me. Her eyes widened. You must be feeling much better now if you're able to come outside. I thought so too. But seeing how I can't even hold a wooden sword properly, I guess I'm not fully recovered. Then, would you let me wrap your wrist with my handkerchief? So you don't make it worse? It's not that serious. No need for that useless thing. But she didn't listen. Gently, she took his wrist and began wrapping it. What do you think you're doing? He asked, startled. Just a moment. Please don't move. He remained still. You're pretty good at this, he muttered. I wouldn't be an Elefritz if I couldn't do something this simple, she said proudly. My brothers are knights. They get injured all the time. I've learned how to treat minor wounds. There. All done, she said softly. Thanks. Any time. Just say the word. She beamed. By the way, will your highness be staying with us for a while? Probably. Why? No reason. I should get going. It's getting late. As she turned, he suddenly reached out and held her arm. Wait. You scared me, she gasped, instinctively pulling away. What? I didn't say anything, she said, flustered. What were you trying to say? Don't say anything, Prince. Then why'd you say it? Well, forget it, he muttered, releasing her and turning his back. She watched him walk away, then called, out playfully, Your Highness, you really are quite beautiful. He stopped, startled. You're one to talk, he replied awkwardly. Are you saying I'm beautiful too? Not necessarily. But you do admit I'm pretty, right? Didn't you say you were leaving? I want to hear your answer first. Just go. That night, Ariel sat in front of her mirror, lost in thought. What am I going to do with myself? She wondered. A small smile curved her lips. I'm so pretty. She admired her reflection with satisfaction. How could he feel sick after seeing a face like this? He must have terrible taste, she muttered playfully as she slipped into a set of simple clothes. Once ready, she glanced toward the door. "I should get going. It's been a while since I last visited town," she whispered, preparing to sneak out. With swift grace, she leapt over the front wall of the mansion and made her way to the bustling restaurant in the heart of town. "Welcome, miss," the barkeep greeted warmly. "Barkeep, I'll have my usual," she began confidently, but her words faltered as her eyes widened in panic. She had forgotten her wallet. Blushing, she leaned forward. "Do you think I could pay you back later, sir?" The barkeep chuckled. "Well, you are working for Count Elifritz, so I'd say your credit's solid with me." Just then, a cloaked man stepped inside. Without a word, he placed a pouch full of gold coins in front of her. "Allow me to cover your drinks," he said smoothly, his hood shadowing most of his face. "Really? Then, can I drink by the bottle?" Ariel asked, completely unfazed by the gesture. "Of course," he replied with a soft chuckle. "However, on one condition. Will you let me join you?" His hood shifted slightly, revealing piercing red eyes and a gentle smile. Time passed. The two clinked glasses, laughter echoing between them. "So, what's your name?" Ariel asked curiously. "Killian Epression. And you?" "It's Ariel. Elia." Killian tilted his head, amused. "So it's Ariel," she panicked. "I shouldn't have said that. I said it's Elia," she corrected firmly. "Nice to meet you, Ariel," he replied, intentionally defiant. "It's Elia," she insisted. He grinned. "Let's say Arielia then." She shot him a look. "That's not funny." Changing the subject, she asked, "You're not from around here, are you?" "What gave me away?" he asked. "Your accent," she replied with a knowing smile. "Heard you're working as a maidservant for Count Elifritz." "That's right. The lady of that house is so uptight." She took another sip. "Serving her is exhausting." "Really?" he mused. "Rumor says she's quite the beauty. Just like you, Arielia." Startled, she smirked. "I guess you could say I'm pretty stunning." Killian leaned in slightly. "I've also heard another rumor. An important guest is staying at Elifritz Manor." "You seem pretty curious about the Elifritz family," she said, eyes narrowing slightly. Why is he asking so many questions? She thought. "The lives of the elite are always interesting to us commoners," Killian replied casually. "People usually ask when I mention my job, but not this much," Ariel thought, her instincts now fully alert. "But tell me, Arielia," he continued. "Yes?" "He's not from here, and yet he knows about the guest." "Is it safe for you to be out so late?" he asked, pouring more into her cup. "It's fine, as long as I don't get caught," she answered, sipping her drink. "I hear the manor is well guarded. Is there a secret passage no one knows about?" "This guy is definitely suspicious. If I told you that," she said calmly, "it wouldn't be a secret anymore, would it?" Eventually the night wore on and their glasses emptied. "Should we call it a night?" Killian asked. "You drank a lot on your own. No wonder you're tired." Ariel yawned. "Let me walk you back to the manor," he offered, extending a hand. "That's fine." "It's very close," she replied cheerily. Killian smiled despite the rejection. "Still, it's quite late, and very dark outside, Arielia. I'll have you know, Killian, I don't like clingy men," she teased with a grin. "That leaves me no choice then. Be careful, the streets aren't safe at night." "I had fun tonight, Killian. Get home safely." As she turned to leave, a piece of paper slipped from his cloak. "Oh, wait!" she called out, picking it up. "You dropped this!" Killian froze. His tone turned serious. "Arielia, please, and give that back. It's important." But it was too late. She had already seen it. Just a glimpse, but it was unmistakable. Prince Siegfried. Of course. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to look. The ribbon came undone as I picked it up. Let me tie it for you. Killian took the paper silently, saying nothing. Take care, and thanks for the drinks, Ariel called out, rushing away. Her thoughts spun. What was that? It was only a second. But I'm sure. That was Prince, Siegfried's portrait. What is Killian doing with it? Back at the manor, Ariel hurried to the prince's room and knocked. Your Highness, are you awake? A groggy voice responded. Who is it? It's Ariel. I gave you my handkerchief this morning. Hang on, she waited impatiently. This isn't the time to wait around. That man is after you. The door creaked open. The prince stood there disheveled, eyes barely open. Do you know what time it is? He grumbled. This isn't the time for sleep, she thought, exasperated. 2 a.m, she guessed. He began to close the door, but she stopped him. Wait, this is important. It's important to me. Go to bed. Please, you have to listen to me, she shouted, grabbing the door. You could have hurt yourself, he barked. You said you borrowed money from someone before arriving, right? I met a man tonight, Killian. He had a portrait of you, Your Highness. You're drunk. Go to bed, he snapped, slamming the door. Your Highness? I did drink, but I'm not drunk. Frustrated, she stomped back to her room, changing into her nightgown. He won't listen, but I'm sure of it. Killian's after Siegfried. The question is, who is he? And now that I think of it, he didn't drink at all. Suddenly, a chill crept down her spine. She sensed someone outside. She turned sharply. Who's there? Approaching the window, she warned. Reveal yourself or I'll call the guards. A hand clamped over her mouth. It's me, whispered Killian. Arielia, he motioned for silence. We meet again. She struggled against his grip. Let go of me, he released her. What is this? What are you doing here? That's what I should ask you, he began. But a shout interrupted. Them. The intruder went this way. Search everywhere, the guards called. Killian remained calm. I'm sure we'll meet again. Let's talk then, he said, smiling as he turned to the window. Killian, Ariel cried as she watched him leap off the terrace. My lady, are you all right? A guard asked, rushing in. I'm fine. He went that way, she said, pointing. Understood. Thank you, my lady, she sighed. They won't catch him. Should I have tried to stop him? Then she noticed something on the wall. A smear of red. Wait. Is that blood? Is it Killian's blood? That's it for today. If you liked, don't forget to enable the YouTube notification bell and subscribe to follow the next parts. If you want a continuation, mention in comments. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.